Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. So I was about to shoot a video on white smoothbone knives. That's why Sarah is over here. And then I was just watching a Williams Knife Life video, and he showed off his CJ3 or CJ2 Jeep, 1948 Jeep from Matchbox. So thought I'd break out my Bug Rat 1965 Volkswagen with the whole rat fink going on, and came with a little rat fink figure, one of 6,000. So I'm sure the Johnny Lightning collectors out there was like, you opened the box, you opened the package. Yeah, hell yeah, I did. That's the way I do things. And you know what? That's the way a lot of people also do with like Jack Wolf knives. I got a feeling a lot of people are actually going to be using those Jack Wolf knives that they're paying $300 for. Now, the little Bug Rat here cost me all of I think is $8. And the people are going to be upset that I opened it and used it. And I know that some people are going to actually keep those Jack Wolf knives, and they're going to keep them pristine. They see them as a collector's value, and they're going to go up in value, and they'll try and sell them later, maybe double their profit. And then some people are like, well, a lot of those people got those knives for free. And believe me, I also said that, yeah, they got the knife for free. And I got this knife for free. I think I gave a fair review of this when I got it. This Slick Slicers gave this to me out of the kindness of his heart. He has done that on a couple of occasions, giving me a really terrific knife out of the goodness of his heart. And, you know, O2 tool steel, what could go wrong? Genuine stag. Even Slick Slicers, Eric, mentioned that when he sent it, he said the scabbard is it's a little leather scabbard, and it's kind of chintzy. I was okay with it. I thought it does what it's supposed to do. It, you know, the knife goes in there. It's supposed to be inside the stocking. It'll work really good. It's a ski and do for those who don't know. I got it for free. I think that was about as objective as I could get on it. I have no idea how much these things cost. It's a lot more than he got them as wedding gifts, I believe, for his daughter's wedding, and he gave these to the groomsmen and stuff, and he had an extra one. I was fortunate enough to get it for free, but I tell you what, this is not the kind of gift I would have been able to give to a groomsman. This is really above what I could pay for a knife. At least I believe it is. I never asked what the price was, and I never would, because it was a gift. I have had people send me knives for free to review, and I have reviewed those knives, and I had problems doing the reviews. I felt, you know, there's more pressure on that than most people think. Now, yeah, some people think that, oh, well, the knife, you got it for free, no matter what, you're going to give a positive review for it. And maybe that is the case with some people. Some people are going to say wonderful things about a knife simply because they got it for free, and they're wanting to get more free knives. I get it. There are those type of people out there. However, the channels I watch and the people I subscribe to, I've subscribed to them for a while. I have watched them for a while. I have seen their other reviews and everything. And what I saw were people being as objective as possible when doing the knife reviews. And I think Williams of Williams Knife Life had the same opinion, that those people, you know, he's seen the reviews, and he wasn't attacking any of the people with that. And neither am I in what I'm saying here. If anything, I'm reflecting some of my angst about doing a review of a free knife onto them, and that also is not fair, you know. But that is one of the things with biases in the world. We have our own biases, and often the bias that we have, we will reflect on somebody else. So I have a harder time doing a review on a knife that I got for free because, well, quite frankly, I don't like to hurt people's feelings. You know, so if the knife really sucked, I probably wouldn't do the review. I would get back with the person and said, you know what, I really, really, really did not like that knife at all. So I don't want to do the review because I don't want to hurt your business. You know, that is me. And that's not really fair to the viewer of the channel because then basically it's like I've given that knife a pass. I haven't told you what I feel about the knife. And somebody else might be giving it a glowing review simply because of what we said, you know, because no matter what, they're going to say it's a good knife. But the channels that I have been watching, and I'll label some of them right off. I have not watched a lot of the Jack Wolf reviews. I watched it from Patty's Potato Peelers, I watched it from Big Red EDC, and I watched it from Slick Slicers. And to me, all three of those channels gave the type of review that I would expect for that knife. And Patty's Potato Peeler and Big Red EDC does a lot of reviews of knives that he gets for free or he gets in a pass around group, so he hasn't paid for them, but he has had the ability to look at the knife for free, and he's able to give an objective opinion to it. At least I feel that he's giving an objective opinion on it. And I feel the same way with Eric of Slick Slicers, Steve from Patty's Potato Peelers, and also JB from Big Red EDC. I trust their opinions on these knives, and each one of them is going to have a different opinion. You know, they're not parroting each other or anything, so I can listen to what they're having to say. And also, the thing I really look for in the review is not what they're saying so much as I'm watching what they're doing. They're telling me what they're doing, and from there I can infer, is that something I would want or not? You know, so even if they're saying, yeah, this knife is worth $300, I can look at it and go, it's worth $300 to you, but is it worth $300 to me? And then I can start looking at the things that I want in it, because they're giving a good review of the knife. And I do feel that they're being fair and even-handed on it. Now, I know there's a lot of other channels out there that are getting the Jack Wolf knives and stuff. I have not watched those. And the reason I haven't watched those is two reasons. Well, number one, the Jack Wolf knife is around $300. This in front of you, minus this knife, is around $300 worth of knives. And these are the kind of knives that I collect or use. This one here, the Spyderco Para 3, is my most expensive modern folder. This one tops out just over $100. I think it was like $120 or something like that. And I had to I mean, my wallet was not opening. I had to actually get a crowbar and pry my wallet open to pay for this knife, because it was more than I wanted to pay for a knife. And this was a knife I was buying to use. It was not a knife that I wanted to throw into the collection. This was something I was buying to use. This is the most expensive user I have ever bought. I do not buy knives that cost $300, so why am I going to watch reviews on knives that cost $300? Well, the main reason I was watching them is, you know, personally, I was kind of intrigued by the knives, and also I was supporting the YouTube channels. Now, I've seen what I want to know about the Jack Wolf knives. I don't need to watch any more about them. And like I said, $300, and then it's the type of knife that it is. So what uh, Ben Belkin is doing is he's taking old traditional pattern knives and he's using modern technology to update them, and he's then giving them a little more pizzazz and stuff like that. And he's obviously not the only one doing that. He's doing this on a higher end. He's using better grade tool steels or better grade super steels, whatever you want to do, looking at higher end materials, using better quality micarta, stuff like that. And is the knife justified to $300? That is a personal opinion. Certain people are going to say absolutely it is. Other people are going to say, no, I'm not going to pay that kind of money for it. You have the same thing happening with Great Eastern knives. A lot of people say, I'm not going to pay that kind of money for a GEC. I don't have a lot of GECs because they're very hard to get. But I love this knife. It's one of the more expensive knives that I have bought, and I'm glad I have it, but it also was not $300. That is, like I said, out of my wheelhouse. But I do have a couple other modern traditionals, or whatever you want to call them. I like to think of them as modern slip joints. So they're using washers instead of brass liners and things like that. And you know, here's the Rough Rider Reserve Barlow. I really like this knife. I think it works really well. I like the action of it. It's smooth. I could do without the half stop. I'm not a big fan of half stops. I think I've made that clear. But it's a nice knife. Is it that much nicer than a regular Rough Rider? That's what I tend to compare it to. Rough Rider wanted us to compare it to a GEC because price-wise, it's less than a GEC and it's a fairly well-made knife. And it is a well-made knife. You know, I don't have a problem with it. Another one, Brother. A lot of people think that the Rough Riders are made in the Brother factory. I bought this knife. This knife was given to me by Patty's Potato Peeler. I said I don't have a Brother's, and he was nice enough to send me one, and I am impressed with it. It is really well made. The action on it is very strong. You see that snap? The micarta is really good. I think it's a better knife than the Rough Rider. Most people think that they're coming out of the same factory. They might be. I don't know. But if they are, the Brother knife is a better quality knife to me than the Rough Rider Reserve knife. I don't know which one costs more. This is this is in VG10. This is in D2 tool steel. That was a problem there. You saw how it almost went all the way through the half stop because of how strong it is. And this is a 1510. Really nice shape to it. Really nice blade. Keep your hands out of the way when you're closing it. Another one I got, this one was from Slick Slicers. This one's a little bit different. It's a Whitby, and but it's still more or less a modern, traditional style slip joint. You know, with the actions that you expect in a modern knife as opposed to the old slip joints. The thing is when it comes to collecting a knife, I would much rather collect a traditional slip joint. That is what I really like. That is what I also tend to carry. I don't carry these, and it's not something that is in my wheelhouse to collect. I got a few and I like them, but that's as far as it's going. So now, if I'm not out there grabbing every Rough Rider Reserve knife that is in the $60 range, why would I be grabbing a $300 Jack Wolf knife? You know what I mean? So it's not a knife that I'm looking to collect. And the thing is even when it comes to knives that I tend to collect, like for $300 I could finally go out there and grab that M3 trench knife that was actually used in World War II. I could go grab an old Camillus M3 trench knife or get an Imperial M3 trench knife from World War II, or I could get an M1905 bayonet with the proper leather sheath from World War I for that kind of price, or I could land that Type 30 Japanese bayonet for that kind of price. And you don't see those in front of you here. And those are the knives that I would be more willing to pay $300 for if I were going to dish out $300 for a knife. But even when it comes to knives that I really would prefer to have, I'm still not paying $300 for them because it's just more than I'm willing to spend on a knife. And I think I've mentioned that in a couple of the videos or in my comments. It's like, no, I and the thing is if I were to try and review a $300 knife, I have nothing in my collection to compare it to. So I would be comparing a Jack Wolf knife to this knife, and I don't know enough between the two to really say why the Jack Wolf knife costs $300 and this knife is like a $60 knife. You know what I mean? So how am I going to be able to give a fair assessment of a knife when I don't have other knives in that price range? And so it's kind of difficult for me to sit here and also be critical of somebody who is doing a review of a $300 knife and they're comparing it to other $300 knives. If they're doing that and they know what they're looking for, such as what Eric did when he was looking at the Jack Wolf knife that he bought, he was comparing it to comparable knives that were high-end knives and saying why he liked or disliked it. And then Ben Belkin replied to him and explained all the different things on there. And he was very gracious. And he actually offered to refund Eric's money for the knife. I don't know if Eric is going to take him up on that or not. I don't think so. I could be wrong. But in any case, he was standing behind his product, and he was also explaining why he did it the way he did it. And I thought it was very gracious of him throughout the whole thing. So to me, he was a very stand-up guy. And I have made semi-negative comments on the other reviews that I saw about his knives, and he replied to those. I've had actual conversations with him through other YouTube channels, and to me, he has been very gracious, very stand-up, and he has taken the criticism to heart, basically looking at, all right, this is what people are thinking. Why are they thinking that way? Can I explain my thought process on this, and so on and so forth? And I don't know. To me, he seemed like a solid guy. He it's like there's a reason he's charging the money that he is charging. I get it, all that and everything else. So, any case, for me, the whole thing comes down to the knife that he is selling is not a knife that I'm looking to buy. So that's why I pretty much stayed out of the whole Jack Wolf controversy. The way you've heard what I've said about magnetic boxes. You heard about what I said about the Rough Rider Reserve tins. The packaging. That's all secondary to the knife, and it's nice, nice little gimmicks and everything. And when it comes to a $300 knife, the packaging probably should matter a little bit, but at the end of the day, what you're buying is the knife. But also, if you're just buying one of them, all that cool packaging stuff is probably pretty cool, to have that with the knife. And so I get that part too, but really, my problem is when you have this kind of packaging on a $20 knife, how much is it really helping with that knife? How could that knife have been cheaper? How much are you paying for the box? The metal tin, the POG, all that other stuff, you're talking about an added maybe $6-8 to a $300 knife. All right, you could have got it for $294 instead of $300. Big whoop. The shipping charge was more than that. So that's my thought with the packaging with it. I get it. Eventually you're going to have, if you're buying all of them, you're going to have a lot of extra packaging. But if you're buying all of them, you buy $300 knives like some people buy $20 knives. And quite frankly, I'm that $20 guy. So that's my whole thought on it. Any case, I guess I've rambled a bit, rambled really long. I don't know if I made any sense with this at all, but my feeling is, I wish Ben Belkin and Jack Wolf Knives all the success in the world, because quite frankly, they are, if nothing else, they are filling a niche now, because there's a lot of people who are looking for that high-end traditional knife that is a modern knife. They're looking for that that crossover knife, and he's offering it, and you'll probably see a few other places offering it as well. And it's not for me, but it is for some other people. I'm more in this line of knife or in this line of knife if I'm going to get one of those, because that's what I can afford, and that's more in my wheelhouse. And so you hear me complain a whole lot more about Rough Rider Reserves than you will ever hear me complain about Jack Wolf knives. And my normal complaint about this is, why is this knife $60 and you got another knife that is very similar to it, only $20, but is not a reserve? That to me is a more legitimate complaint than, why is a Jack Wolf knife $300? There's nothing else for me to compare it to. And the thing with these kind of knives that makes it really interesting is most modern folders today have a locking mechanism on them, and it makes it very difficult for people to carry them in certain locations. And most modern folders also have blade lengths that are longer than what is illegal in many places. So it becomes problematic for somebody who's looking for a modern folder that is a slip joint. Is it fair to sit there and compare a Brother or a Lion Steel to a Jack Wolf knife? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a Jack Wolf knife to compare it to. I don't have a Lion Steel knife to compare it to. But that's why when Slick Slicers was doing his review of the Jack Wolf knives, I tuned in to watch it, because he does have those knives, and he could make a fair assessment, a more accurate review of it. And as he pointed out, he's not influenced by anyone's money or anything else. Every knife that he was showing, he paid for. And that's that does make a little bit of a difference when it does come to reviews, because you have that little bit of bias. And maybe that bias is in me. Like I said, maybe a good chunk of that bias is in me, because just because I can't do that free knife review doesn't mean other people have that same bias, where they're either going to overcompensate by being hypercritical on that free knife, or they're just going to give it a free pass because it was a free knife and it's going to be great, and that way they'll get another free knife. you have both sides going on with it. But in any case, I think I am now repeating myself, which is what happens with these kind of things. But hopefully, I don't know. It's hard to say enjoyable, but I can say at least that's my 2 cents on the whole rigmarole going on about these people got a free Jack Wolf knife and I didn't, and they got to review it, and of course they're going to say positive things about it because they got it for free. Well, maybe you're just a little jealous because you didn't get the free knife and they did, and maybe they're being a very accurate reviewer, and that even makes you more angry because they're telling you that they got a really good knife for free and you didn't. Too bad, so sad. That's life.
Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.